When it's almost time, a countdown starts.
Well, the final stage of AMX Global Beta Season 2 continues here on Race Day 38. It's Alex and Marco with you, and it's actually the penultimate time that myself and Marco will be partnered up this season. But nevertheless, we've got two exciting races. Of course, there's been a big dynamic shift in terms of what is happening for Beta Season 2. We've upped the stakes, we've upped the ante. Qualifying, you get prize money for it. What's more, it's a reverse grid. So we might see some even more intense dynamic racing action, wheel to wheel, side by side, over the next 7 race days still to go, including this one. Marco, first of all, it's been a very, very busy weekend. Of course, you and Reed were on duty just a couple of days ago with our normal USA special, but tonight we've got 2 very different classes. We've got single seaters and of course your very favourite front wheel drive coming up a little bit later on. We've changed the tiers once again. It's AMX 0 and it's AMX 5, but Marco, this really does give the opportunity for the drivers to earn even more dollars as we get to the end of Beta Season 2, which concludes on June 25th.
Yes, and tonight the name of the game is absolutely going to be balance, going to be head-to-head competitive racing from start to finish, because of course, as we are seeing right now, the Formula V's on the sprint layout of the Nurburgring, so very big track for these little cars, will be very difficult to get away, and when you get TCR, you know it's going to be a close battle no matter where they run. So you were saying it right, the points and therefore dollars will be given out for the qualifying, and the reverse grid will make for some enthralling racing all the way through the day.
Yes, indeed. Like I said earlier on, the points structure has changed. And it means that for qualifying, we're also giving away US dollars. Of course, there's been a change on the AMXrace.com website because, of course, we want to open it up to more people out there in sim racing land, especially if you are on iRacing. Doesn't matter your iRacing, your level of skill. Come race with us, come earn money, but also be part of a growing and colourful community here on AMX Global. That's what we try and promote here. So as you can see, the prize pool for the entry fee for our highest level of competition, it's only $5. That's AMX 0. That'll be happening on the remainder of Beta Season 2. And that has started since Saturday night. Grid. And that will be at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Daily Time. So you can see here the reverse grid placements. So qualifying and the race. If you're first in qualifying, it's $10. Second, it's $9. Then it goes all the way down to 20th position. You'll be also given those points in qualifying and the race. So even if you take pole, you start at the back end of the grid, you'll still earn $10. If you win the race from the back of the grid and you get the fastest lap, it's $12. So $2 for the fastest lap, race only, and $10 to win it. We'll go through AMX 5 for our second race, where it's TCR class, the TCR class at Tsukuba. We've also expanded on qualifying. No longer 10 minutes, it's 15 minutes. We're also offering faster and easier payouts, and players may request to be paid out at any time in increments of $100 between all tiers without waiting until a payout at the end of Beta Season 2. However, if you don't claim all that money, it rolls over to the next season. More news coming on that on our social medias in due course. Also, driver cams. You join the AMX Zoom call with a camera showing your face and race setup, you receive 1 additional point. And it's now mandatory to receive prizes in AMX5 from this point onwards. Sign up to us at amxrace.com for all the information as it happens. But now I'm going to hand over to Marco. It's time for you, buddy, to take us through the track and the car configuration for AMX 0 for this race tonight, race 33.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, we are at the Nurburgring Grand Prix track, the sprint track, of course, the shorter layout. We're going to do the Mercedes Arena, but we're going to cut before turn 6 and basically in the end, still a very, very long track, 3.57 kilometers, especially for the Formula Vs. So if you're familiar with what we have been through with the Formula 1 until 2020, and of course the VLN, of course NLS now, sort of the same layout, slightly different. Of course, they don't do the Mercedes Arena in the full 24-hour configuration because the Mercedes Arena is the extended paddock, of course. So there is no space for driving there. But still, a beautiful racetrack, very flowing, beautiful up and down, difficult braking areas, chicane, and of course we are tackling it with one of the most popular cars in all of iRacing, the Formula V, which since has been introduced last year has become one of the staples for racing, especially for rookie racing. On iRacing, it's a free car, and basically you can start your iRacing career with it in a rookie series, which is all free tracks, of course. And I mean, it's a staple of racing worldwide. iRacing has decided to create sort of a mishmash of versions from all over the world because it's raced everywhere, but it's not raced like it's not the same version everywhere, Alex. So good idea from iRacing not to tie it with any particular part of the world, but to create some sort of a universal version. It's universally liked by the drivers.
Indeed, and there you can see the helicam shot of this circuit based in the Eifel regions. The Nurburgring has had a presence in modern day motorsport right from the 1920s and still continues to do so in the modern day, with the Grand Prix Strecke originally solidified back in 1984. So qualifying is now getting underway for AMX 0 race 33 on Beta Season 2. As I said earlier, we are upping the ante. It's going to be 15 minutes of qualifying, and several of our drivers have already made their way out onto this formidable circuit, which, as Marco says, that is the results from practice, and Fabio Zampolini was top of the timesheets, exactly 1/10 of a second ahead of Gaston Colharvey. Marcelo Reales makes a reappearance here on Beta Season 2 and was 0.31 behind, 11 thousandths ahead of Brazil's Jackson Asenje, Caio Gaspar, Diego Villarreal, and Nico Godoy, who I've not seen on the AMX Global roster for a very, very long time, makes a reappearance in the number 3. But the drivers are making their way around this circuit. Air temperature 25.56 degrees Celsius, track temperature 47.2. There is Fabio Zampolini making his way through as we're already into the first minutes completed. But the banker laps are going to be, they're all on their out laps at the moment, including our very good friend Mr. Non-qualifying. Well, he now knows that he's got to do it here, Marco, because points and dollars are up for grabs.
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly an incentive to qualify, and as a non-qualifier aficionado myself as well, I would qualify in this environment. Very important, you know, every penny counts, every point counts, and of course, even if you don't know if you're going to be fast, well, the prize for you if you are the slowest is the pole position. So I think it's a good compromise. Of course, longer qualifying session, as you were saying, the track temperature is quite high. I think it's around 50 degrees if I'm not mistaken, which is going to be, of course, a challenge for these drivers. And you see we are on board with Jackson Asenje, pushing his car almost to 150 kph, but the track is up the hill here, Alex, so the car doesn't really want to go any faster than that, and the chicane and back on the front stretch. We were talking about it before the broadcast. These cars don't have a very high top speed, so we can expect the drivers to be basically bunched up for the entire race.
And what's good for us here in the commentary position, we actually can see the drivers as well. So now we actually get to see the man behind the camera, Mr. Jackson Asenje, in the number 5 car. So he's now going to go onto a hot lap. we've then also got one of the other. Well, we've got several other drivers taking part. But the good thing is that with a lot of the modern day broadcasts, like you see with VCO Esports, you will see driver cameras. They'll all be populated into a Zoom call. There is Diego Villarreal in the very, very Knight Rider-esque matte black paintwork in the number 22, and there is Diego. And that's one thing that you don't really see. You see gloves that have actually got the fingertips cut off them, and sometimes that actually helps to aerate the palms of your hands, because you and I both know, Marco, that when you get on a sim rig and you are behind the wheel for an excessive amount of time, your hands, the palms of your hands particularly, because of the grip, they do perspire quite a lot, don't they?
I'm preparing for the 6 hours of the Glen on Saturday morning here in Italy, and certainly with the hotter weather coming into the northern hemisphere, me and my fellow competitors, including a driver from the UK who's been complaining a lot about the heat lately, we are basically one of the reasons we are doing the early morning one and not the main one, which is like at 3 p.m. in the afternoon for us in Europe, is because we want to try to beat the heat as much as possible. So many drivers I know drive with this kind of cycling gloves, especially for this reason, because the others I know go like full immersion and get like the karting gloves. Some of them even customize with their name and number and flag and whatever on the glove itself.
Yep, so the lap times are coming in. Fabio Zampolini is fastest at the moment, 1 minute 49.274. Jackson Resenje puts in a 1:49.836. Marcelo Reales putting in a 1 minute 50.041. And there is the number 3 of Nico Godoy, goes across the line. What is the lap time going to be? 1 minute 51.684. Interesting choice of headwear there for Mr. Godoy. But great to see that the drivers, this is an additional incentive, because not only do we and you, the folks at home, get to see what the drivers look like, they are from all walks of life. And sim racing, especially because of the fact it is the month of June, it is Pride Month, we here at AMX Global we promote inclusivity. And that's one of the things that I love about the way that we're expanding here at AMX Global, as Fabio Zampolini is absolutely walloping the curves in the Coca-Cola chicane before the Hyundai N-Curver. And there is the man himself, is top actually matching the livery on his car as well. Good man, Fabio, good man.
Yeah, he's wearing a Borussia Dortmund shirt, which is one of the few teams that were able to lose to Chelsea this season. As a Chelsea fan, I'm quite, almost moved to tears thinking about that match in the Champions League. He gets very, very fast right now. It's a provisional pole, 1:49.264 for him, but he gets beaten by Kulavi swiftly.
1 minute 49.183 from the Argentinian. Diego Villarreal has, folks, done 2.1 laps. So he's done laps so far. He hasn't yet done one that has not been invalidated. There is Gaston Coulharvey, and we see the man himself. And the good thing is that with a Zoom meeting, you can actually use your smartphone as a camera in order to facilitate that. Wonders of modern technology. But at the moment, with the top 5 covered by 4.5 tenths of a second, it's Coulharvey leading from Zampolini by 81 thousandths. Further 24 thousandths going back to Caio Gaspar, the number 7. Marcelo Reales further nearly 3 tenths of a second adrift in 4th position. Jackson Resenje in the number 5, a further ½ tenth back. Nico Godoy has set a best lap time of 1:51.685. Over the next 8 minutes, I'm sure that lap time will improve from Nico and the number 3, Diego Villarreal, who we are on board with at the moment. And you can hear him shifting up to 4th gear. Over 100, that's 154 kilometers an hour indicated going through Advan in 4th gear. Now, because this is an air-cooled Volkswagen Beetle engine, you'll have the standard H pattern, 4-speed manual gearbox, and you can just see that how hard he's pushing. Villarreal's done an improvement. He's done a personal best in sector number 2 as he swings it a little bit wide going into the Hyundai N-curver. Comes out of the final turn. Now, will there be a lap time registered by Mr. Villarreal? We're about to find out. Goes across the line. Yes, he does. 1 minute 50.073. That is good enough for 6th position at the moment, but he's still got time to find.
And you've seen, we were on board earlier with one of the drivers, and they were struggling to break into 148 kph on the backstretch. But Villarreal was in the draft of another car and was 4 or 5 kph faster at the same point. So this shows the importance during the race, when the race will start, to stay in the draft, to not lose the lead pack if you want to have a shot at victory. Because we see Marcelo Reales and he's looking at his monitor now. He's one of the drivers who likes to have the screen on the wall. I know some of them. It's I don't agree with this theory, but whatever floats your boat. It's very, very far away. Sometimes that's the only solution. I know a couple of drivers that basically this is the only solution they have, of course, for racing. We see now cameras on Marcelo, still on him, number 115, as Zamperini improves on the first sector, but a pedestrian second sector, I think, has put a damper on his lap. But he's so close to Kulavi that even just a slightly faster lap could mean pole position, and of course $10 as a prize money for this AMX Zero race.
Also have to give a shout out to Chan Wei Han, but before I do, Fabio has gone even faster, 1 minute 49.130. He's gone 52 thousandths quicker than Gaston Kulhavi, so now takes the honour of provisional pole position, which will put him at the back of this 7-strong grid. So plenty of time still to find. Have to give a shout out to Chan Wei Han, one of our fellow commentators here at AMX Global. He tagged me on Instagram stories, and there he was in a room. And then he's also shared it in the Discord between us commentators. I'm on one of the videos, you're on the other, Marco, and it was on the same broadcast. And it's like, hang on a second, it's like AMX Global on a full-blown, I don't know how big the screen was, it must have been like a 32-inch screen, but it looked pretty rad seeing AMX Global on a TV screen as opposed to a computer monitor.
Sometimes some of the work I do for the Italian esports broadcasting gets put on television, like on proper secondary channels of Italian Sky, and sometimes I do like channel surfing when I'm bored, and it's quite staggering to do channel surfing. And that's my voice. How about that's me? And then quickly change channel because I don't want to bask in my own glory. It's just doing a sim racing broadcast, but it's a weird weird feeling.
I mean, when I first started appearing on motorsport.tv with another organisation, I was like, hang on a minute, I'm on one of the biggest platforms ever. Whoa. And then the thing is that when I have to go through a show reel for every single year, I'm one of these people that doesn't always like the sound of his own voice. It's just like I start cringing, but I listen back to them all now. As I say that, Jackson Desenje has just gone fastest in the opening sector of anybody in this qualifying session. Desenje has just put in a 44.664 on that last sector. And that is big time gains in comparison with those behind him. So Gaspar did a 44.9 from Kulhavi. Desenje is about to cross the line. Is this going to be a new best lap of anybody? I don't think it was. I'm not sure.
I think the lap was invalidated. He must have made a mistake.
He was on for a 149.339, so he lost a lot of time in the second sector. But as you said, invalidating that, well, he did actually, it was actually a valid lap from Desenje. He just lost all that time. He gained on Zamperini, get this, just over 1/10 of a second. So he lost a big chunk of time. His second sector was a 38.7. A 38.7 on that occasion. And it was a low 38.7. So whether he's Well, I mean, the thing is that at the end of it all, if you make a bit of a howler in the final sector of this track, as there is Mr. Villarreal just taking a nice late afternoon Eiffel drive in the countryside, and there is someone closing in very, very quickly as Gaston Coulharvey, who's got one of the most imaginative liveries. Fabio just did a 1:49.186, so 56 thousandths slower than his previous lap. As Villarreal I think he's just starting to wind up now. Yeah, he's starting to accelerate a bit because he's seen Gaston Coulharvey right behind him. Coulharvey's going to get a little bit of a slipstream coming out of the final corner as we head into the last minute and 40 of qualifying. But with the top 6 covered by 0.94 of a second, Coulharvey's going to stay behind as best as he can. 155 kph. Oh, hang on. 100. Did I just see nearly 160 kilometers an hour registered on the speedo of Gaston Coulharvey? Well, he kept that car pinned to the back, Diego Villarreal, as long as humanly possible. And there is the number 5 of Jackson Asenge, who's got to within 2 1,000ths of Fabio Zampellini. So the fight here, Fabio, for pole position. I think that is... Oh, Asenge is not going to do another lap. We're only 55 seconds away from the checkered flag.
He went deep into turn 1. Well, that was a fantastic lap, and honestly, I was following him through the live timing, came a bit out of nowhere. But sadly, in the breaking of turn 1 of the final attempt, because the clock is almost down to 15, he made a mistake, and so he's going to miss out on pole by 0.002 if things don't change, which it's in a lap this long, because for these cars it's a very long lap still, despite we are cutting a bit. It's the top 3 being so close. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Zampellini crosses the line. He might get the opportunity for one more lap. That was another. He's matched the time from previous, and he's going to slow it down, and he's going to call that time on the session because it's 3, 2, 1. 15 minutes for qualifying is up, and that is the session completed here at the sprint version of the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit here on AMX 0 race number 33 on race day 38 here on Beta Season 2. So it was Fabio Zampellini that had put it on pole position by 2 1,000ths of a second. Gaston Coulharvey is in third behind Jackson Asenge, so close in this qualifying session. Caio Gaspar will be, he's going to start in the mid of the... He's going to basically start where he qualified, 4th. Marcelo Reales will be on the outside, will be on the inside of row 2. Diego Villarreal and Nico Godoy, based on the reverse grid qualifying. Yes, I did say reverse grid. Nico Godoy starts race 33 from pole position. We're just waiting for Fabio Zampellini to line up on the grid. So Nico Godoy, Diego Villarreal, Marcelo Reales, Caio Gaspar, Gaston Coulharvey, Jackson Asenge, and Fabio Zampellini. That's your 7-strong grid for AMX 0 race 33. And the lights have gone green, and we are underway. A lot of wheel spin from Gaston Coulharvey, and already it's nearly... Oh, dearie me, Marcelo Reales goes 2 wheels in the air and nearly has a little bit of contact. It's Diego Villarreal that leads them into turn 1. He's going to go a little bit wide. We've got to spin around. Oh, dearie me, that was Nico Godoy, and Gaston Coulharvey nearly got caught up in the crossfire. But it's going to be a battle for the race lead. Caio Gaspar towards the outside of Diego Villarreal as they head into the next left-hander. This is so close. And into the next right out of the Mercedes-AMG arena, Caio Gaspar takes the race lead. Marcelo Reales has got the run on Diego Villarreal as they hurtle down into the next right-hander. This is not going to be going all the way down to Ford and Dunlop. Villarreal is going to lose out to Reales, and Zampellini's looking up the inside already. Looks up the inside of the 327 and is nearly up the back end of the 115 as they're going to head into the next left-hander into Michelin, then up the hill in towards Warsteiner. And Zampellini looking towards the inside. Villarreal keeps it pinned to the outside. Asenge looking to thread the eye of the needle through the middle of them. And he's about to do so. It could be 3 wide on the run down to Advan. As Gaspar leads the way. It is going to be 3 wide. It is going to be 3 wide through Advan. And these cars are not that wide, so you can make that work. But Gaspar has got the lead. Senji looking up the inside, takes third from Zampolini as they bump through the curbs over the NGK chicane, and Gaspar has got a lead. That is a second over Reales, Senji, Zampolini, Villarreal, Kulhavi and Godoy as we complete lap 1 out of 10. And now what they're doing is they're weaving from side to side to break the toe from the cars behind as Senji looking towards the inside of Reales going down into Yokohama, and Zampolini is going to be out towards the outside. One way, one the other. And has Zampolini got through? No, he hasn't. Senji keeps a hold of second, but Reales wants that place back. Zampolini right behind them. Villarreal is coming back at them at a quick old rate of knots, and he's looking towards the outside of Zampolini. You can just see how hard as Senji's just lost the back. I want to rejoin in front of Kulhavi. Oh my goodness.
Oh man, and Kulhavi, his race went from bad to worse. He had to avoid the carnage in the first turn. He had to basically take avoiding action, and only Godoy was behind him. And now he finds Senji is doing the U-turn right in front of him. Unfortunately, it was a big collision. And you know, these cars are very sturdy, but I mean, not that sturdy. I think he's going to be sporting some damage from here to the end. And of course, with basically only 10 laps of racing, that's him done for the race. And also another big winner is Caio Gaspar, because all this battling behind him has created a big gap of 2.3 seconds.
Does that remind you of a certain Frenchman called Gael Valero? Oh, Villarreal's going to make it 3 wide. He's going to go through the middle of them, and he's looking to put the frighteners onto. Oh, he's lost all that momentum. He's just gathered. Oh! We've from Reales going through the NGK chicane. Villarreal outbraked himself, turned the car in. Reales was there. It was going to be a case of a small amount of contact, and Reales was very, very lucky that car did not flip.
Yeah, he was lucky in the start of the race, because also after the green flag he was on 2 wheels, and here again, luckily for him, the car stayed on the ground, or at least in the proper position, and now he's I think Villarreal is letting him by very gentlemanly, but unfortunately the damage has been done, because now it's the both of them being last and second to last. Kulhavi and Godoy fighting it out for 4th place, but the field has basically exploded after this first couple of laps, and big gaps between all of the drivers. Now Godoy has spun right in front of Villarreal and Reales, so Reales got past, and now Villarreal is looking to do the same. What a chaotic opening of the action for today on AMX.
Gelmaid Carmemes says it all with 2 words: crazy race. That is 100% taking the words right out of my mouth as we ride on board with Diego Villarreal in the number 22. He's right with Nico Godoy in the number 3. He looks to the right. Is he going to look towards the inside? Not on this particular corner, not going through Michelin. Up to the right-hander here at Warsteiner before the run, where they're going to be pushing just north 150 kilometers an hour. That is the best part of 90 miles an hour heading into the right-hander here at in top gear, 4th gear, not 6th gear, folks. As I mentioned earlier, and Godoy, is that speedo going to go higher than 151 kilometers an hour? No, it's not. So they're going up the hill through towards the NGK chicane. It's down to 3rd, around about 50 or so miles an hour through that point of the circuit, back up to just over 70 miles an hour. Caio Gaspar, in the meantime, has checked out. We're nearly halfway through the race. We're about to go on to lap number 4. We're on lap number 4 out of 10. He's just put in a 1:49.083. That was quicker than the qualifying time, I think, a little bit earlier on. We're now right on board with Diego Villarreal. He's right in the slipstream of Nico Godoy. Falls to the right-hand side, heading down towards Yokohama, formerly known as the Haokaken. And who's going to outbrake the other? Well, very neatly done there by Diego Villarreal. Godoy just lets him through rather easily. But at the end of the day, Nico Godoy, Marco, is running his own race just like everybody else, whilst Caio Gaspar is just checking out.
We'll get a replay of the opening portion of the race. Yeah, Godoy, nothing to gain by battling hard, especially between, a crazy start to the race. We've already had Reales go on 2 wheels already here. Now you will see Godoy go too deep, and see also Kulavi loses it as well. So it was just not to avoid the carnage, he lost it as well, but very promptly got it back with style, whilst Godoy had to do basically a full 180 to get back going. But that was just the beginning of the trouble, of course, for Godoy, for Reales as well, because then he also almost went over at the chicane a couple of laps later. But this fight for 5th, 6th, and 7th looks to be a promising one, because all 3 of these drivers are exchanging position quite frequently.
Yeah, I mean, looked like Gaston Kohlhavi did a bit of sympathy spinning along with Nico Godoy. I think he just went in a bit too late on the brakes, and yeah, as soon as you stamp on the brake pedal, you're trying to get the car turned in. What's going to happen? Back axle is going to lock up on the brakes, and it's going to spin you around in a pirouette-style fashion. We're on board with Diego Villarreal. There is Nico Godoy, who's about 0.4 of a second behind. Villarreal is closing in on Marcelo Reales. The two have got previous, they have got history, as Marco was alluding to earlier on in the race, as they head into Yokohama. Neat and tidy by all 3 drivers. Reales is about 1.5 seconds. He's about 1.4 seconds behind Kohlhavi, who in turn, but Zampellini. So we're going to have a look at the replay of Jackson Asenje's spin from earlier on. That was a moment there for Villarreal, who's just lost out to Godoy. So we're now going to have a look back in time. So we're not going to bring the AMX Global DeLorean up for use here. But this is when Asenje had his spin, so they'd come out of here. Now, does he get an assist? Well, it's very, very close, too close to call, as Reales is diving all over the back of him. Oh, he just loses the back end to the right-hand side all on his own. And it just he's locking up the brakes. As you can see, the back wheels are locked up. Spins the rear wheels, and then, oh, poor old Kohlhavi just comes in unsighted, whammo.
They always say that there is like 5% of crashes in a racing you can't avoid, and that was one of the 5% of crashes you can't avoid for him. But thankfully these cars are so sturdy that they are both continuing basically without any kind of issues, as Gaspar gets the fastest lap of the race once again, 49.080. We were on board with Godoy, and we saw the camera on the back of his car basically move left to right, which is never a good sign. A little bit of a wiggle, and Villarreal will try to overtake him once again. This has happened already 3 or 4 times in this race between the pair of them, and I think we're going to go for another one. Villarreal down the inside.
Yeah, quite straightforward to get the side draft. As you can see, the look of concentration on Diego Villarreal's face as he turns the car in to the right and then exits out of the corner. Uses a little bit of the exit curbing to rotate the car through to the other side to prepare himself for the Mercedes-AMG arena. You see he's probably having a chat with someone on the Discord server somewhere. That's what a lot of these drivers do, especially if they're in the same time zone. They'll have a Discord server and they'll be talking to each other, just saying like, yeah, my race, I was hoping it was going to be a little bit better than this, but it didn't quite work out, did it? And that's part of the community as well.
During the 24 hours of Le Mans, they said that basically during the pandemic they were doing a lot of races online, especially the Le Mans Virtual, and the race control, basically they were using Discord, and they found it so useful that during the 24-hour race proper this weekend, all the team principals and the race director were on a Discord channel for quicker communications. It was quite amusing.
Well, actually, yeah, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Eduardo Freitas, the FIA WEC race director, has a Discord server set up for the FIA World Endurance Championship in real life. So Discord has multiple uses and is used in one of the top tier global championships. As now we see Villarreal up the inside of Godoy through the Hyundai N curve. Godoy keeping it high, wide and handsome around the outside. Left rear wheel touches the Kitty litter on the left-hand side, and he still keeps ahead of Diego Villarreal. But the new fastest lap of the race has gone to Marcelo Reales, who's just put in a 1:48.917, gets past Kulhavi, who then outbreaks himself going into Yokohama. Reales is going to retake that position, get that back. That's 4th place. Villarreal back up the inside of Godoy to retake 6th position. And then we see Gaston Kulhavi's camera shot. We see part of his face and part of the sim rig, but for them still to take part of doing this new function that we have here on AMX Global is, again, Reales and Kulhavi are very, very close together. They're going into the right-hander here at the shortened part. The sprint circuit looks like Kulhavi was a little bit better on the apex there. Might get the run on Reales as they're going to go into the left-hander here at Michelin before the right at Warsteiner. Again, adverse camber on both respective corners before the run down to Advern. And this is going to be the opportunity that Kulhavi might want right now, because he's going to get the slipstream behind Marcelo Reales.
If he looks on the inside, of course, we haven't seen a slowdown, but super easy to get slowdowns at the upcoming chicane, so drivers will have to be very careful, hitting almost the back end of the car in front of him and cutting as much of the curb as possible. Beautiful camera shot there by our production crew behind the scenes, always doing a fantastic work. And I think, Alex, that now the point for Kulhavi will be to get out of the final corner as fast as he can, get the draft, and maybe try again in turn 1.
Yeah, well, he's keeping it pinned to the outside. He was half a second slower than Reales, but is keeping with him. Gap now is coming down to just about 1/10.5 as they head down into Yokohama. Kulhavi looks to the inside. Is he going to outbrake himself this time? No, he does not. He nails the apex convincingly. Runs a little bit wide. This could allow Reales to get the cut back on him, going through into the Mercedes arena. But Kulhavi does an absolute blinder, but he's left the door open. Through into the next left-hander. Kulhavi's going to shut the door. He does so convincingly. Now into the next right-hander. Then it's going to be the short blast up to the next right-hander, which is a 180-degree hairpin. But Reales is starting to close that gap. The slipstream comes into effect, but a bit too late on this particular part of the circuit. Now they're going to go uphill and then head towards Michelin, the next left-hander, then Warsteiner. Then it's the run down from Warsteiner through Advan into the NGK chicane. And look at the way that Reales is just shadowing Kulhavi. Comes out of Michelin, and that gap is closing. It's less than 1/10.5. Now into Advan. Do not tell me. Oh, we've got a beautiful move, and that's just transpired. It has. Reales overtakes Kulhavi through Advan. And Kulhavi was a bit too wide coming through that part of the circuit. Now he's got to do all that hard work again, as we've got 2 laps to go, as Gaspar has a 4.9 second lead over the 3:27 of Fabio Zampolini. Jackson Asenge makes it a Brazilian top 3 lockout in 3rd place in the number 5, as we continue to focus on this battle between Marcelo Reales and Gaston Kulhavi.
Seems like Kulhavi doesn't have the gap close enough to go for the move at the beginning of lap number 9 as they enter the braking area of turn 1. He still brakes very, 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 very deeply as we cut to a replay of this almost flip, the second one. It's a miracle to me how Reales is still in this race, because with a bit of netcode, the magic of the driving from all across the world, from many on a different server, of course, a few thousands of miles away. It's a miracle that it still works, but sometimes you get moments like this. So yeah, thankfully these cars are made of top hats, and so they are both still in the race, especially Reales.
Yeah, they're made out of certain stuff, as Kulhavi still trying to put the frighteners onto Reales. Next time around it will be the white flag lap as our leader makes his way through the NGK chicane. A little bit tail happy there for Kulhavi, going out of Warsteiner and now on the run down towards Advan, as they're going to be pushing 150 kilometers an hour plus, 152 indicated on the speedometer of Gaston Kulhavi, and now he's really closing in. He's looking towards the inside. This is going to be the run to the NGK chicane. Kulhavi thinks better of it. White flag in the air, race leader now on the final tour. Caio Gaspar, the minute he got into the lead of the race, he has not really had to look back that often, as if at all, as he's got a 5.1 second lead over Fabio Zampolini. Jackson Desenge rounds out the top three. Here we have the battle for 4th and 5th between Marcelo Reales and Gaston Kulhavi. Diego Villarreal and Nico Godoy round out the 7 strongers. Look at the run. Kulhavi's going to pitch it to the outside. And he switches to the inside. Is he trying to do? He was trying to do a Nigel Mansell dummy back in the 1990s in Formula 1. And Kulhavi's going to keep it round to the outside. Is he going to get the undercut on Reales? Not on this particular point as they go through Yokohama. Now through into Mercedes-AMG Arena for the final time. Kulhavi keeping that gap within 0.2 of a second. They've got a right-hander coming up after this left. Kulhavi's trying to put himself to the optimum racing line. Reales is still holding off the number 1 for that 4th position. This has been the battle so far here tonight as Kulhavi trying to keep it pinned to the outside, carry the momentum through the corner, take a tighter apex. That's what he needs to do right now, and that's a great run he's got out of the corner. Great run from Kulhavi, but it's the left coming up. Reales will keep that 4th position. And as we say that, our leader is making his way. Caio Gaspar in the picture-in-picture is coming through the NGK chicane as we keep our eyes on Kulhavi and Reales. Kulhavi's looking towards the inside. He's trying to put the boot on the other foot. He's going to look up the inside, and as that happens, Caio Gaspar comes out of the final corner. Race 33 of AMX Zero goes to the Brazilian with a massive advantage, and Reales is holding on, but could Kulhavi get the run to the line? They're going towards the Hyundai N-Curve for the 10th and final time in this race. It could be a drag race as long as Kulhavi gets out of the final corner quicker than Reales. It's going to be close between the two. It's 0.2. It may not even be that at the cross of the line, but it is. So Caio Gaspar, the number 7. So vai galera, vai Brazil. Congratulations to the number 7. He takes the victory, and with it takes a cool $10 US. Fabio Zampolini takes 2nd ahead of Jackson Desenge. So let's see if we can have a look at the results of AMX Zero Race 33. Caio Gaspar wins by a whopping 5.2 seconds ahead of Fabio Zampolini. Jackson Desenge could have been higher for the Canaan Esports Brazil driver in the number 5. He takes 3rd place. Marcelo Reales takes 4th, and if I remember correctly, Marcelo Reales actually had the fastest lap of the race, so takes home another $2 US to his credit. Gaston Kulhavi, it was close, but no cigar for the Argentinian. He finishes P5. Diego Villarreal and Nico Godoy did their best. They round out the finishing order here on AMX Global Beta Season 2, AMX Zero race number 33. So Marco, we're halfway through race day 38 on AMX Global, and if that race is going to set the trend for what we've got coming up next, TCR cars, so your favourite front-wheel drives, and we're going back to a circuit that we've visited many a time here on AMX Global. We're going to Tsukuba in Japan. This could be an even more exciting affair tonight, don't you think?
Yeah, we had of course a lot of controversies every time we go to Tsukuba, seems like it, and with the TCR cars, so that's going to be amazing. This was a fantastic race, maybe not the fight for the lead, but as we said, the guy that stayed in the pack, they fought all the way through. I'm expecting more of the same in just a bit of time with the TCR cars at Tsukuba.
Yeah. Big thank you to Automatics and BenQ for their continued support, and we are powered by Upbit. Don't forget, hit us up on socials. You know the drill by now, folks. You've been with us long enough. If you are watching on YouTube or also on Twitch, don't forget to either hit the subscribe or the follow button. One click from you means a heck of a lot to us, and means we can do a lot more and help gather more people to participate in AMX Global. Not just for the rest of Beta Season 2, the final phase, but also more to come when we are able to divulge news via amxrace.com. That's where you need to go, amxrace.com, to sign up for the remainder of the races, because we've got another few more days of racing to go before Beta Season 2 concludes on June 25th. Myself, Marco, and the team in Korea, we're going to take a brief break. We're going to be back with AMX 5 next up, TCR at Tsukuba. See you then.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now that's
Well, we come to the second half of race day 38 here on AMX Global as we head at full throttle towards the end of beta season 2. It's myself, Alex, and Marco back with you. Big thank you as always to Automatics and BenQ for their continued support. And we at AMX Global are powered by Upbit. Marco, we now go on to your favourite class of racing. It's front wheel drive. It's TCR at a circuit that we have been to so many times this season, I have lost count. We head to the Orient, we head to Tsukuba once again. It is going to be, I mean, if the first race we just had, Formula V's at the Nurburgring Sprint Grand Prix circuit, is anything to go by, we've got Gael Valero joining the grid for TCRs at Tsukuba. I could not get even more goosebumps on my forearms than I have now. And now I'm struggling with my words as well.
It's going to be fantastic. Big grid. We got, I think, around 8 cars for this second race. It's a very small racetrack. It's front-wheel drive action. I think it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic race. And of course, the reverse grid. How can we forget that? So all the ingredients are there for a fantastic, fantastic meal to be eaten in just a few minutes.
A bit like when you have your pasta at lunchtimes. It's race number 25 of AMX 5. And what's more, there are more prizes on offer. It's $25 for pole position. It's $25 for a race victory. This will be the full 2000 Tsukuba circuit variation. As we said, we're entering the final phase. So AMX 5, the total prize pool climbs to an incredible $437 in totality. Just $5 to enter this tier of AMX Global Beta Season 2. There's 6 more race days to go. And again, as you can see, it'll be $25 for pole position, $25 for a race victory, $5 for the fastest lap set during the race. It's 20 for second, 18 for third, 17 for fourth, 16 for fifth, and so on and so forth, right until down to 20th position. We're going to have 8 drivers competing in this. We've got 2 marques represented, and we've got Hyundai and Honda. So the Civic FK7 is going to make a return. AMX 5, the driver cams are now mandatory to receive prizes. But without further ado, Marco, it is over to you once again for the track and car description, my friend.
We are looking high above Tsukuba. The 1000 circuit is just behind the camera shot earlier there, and of course the 2000 layout, of course named like this because it's basically 2 kilometers long, and as you can see, it packs a lot of kinds of different corners in a very, very short amount. Hairpins galore, of course, which are going to be interesting with these front wheel drive cars, and basically zero space for like relaxing because the front stretch and the back stretch are quite short, and you're probably going to be in a fight with somebody else all the way through. Passing opportunities, well, you have to create them for yourself, and with this kind of cars, of course, that means maybe using a little bit of your elbows and your bumper to create the chance. And here we go with the Hyundai and Honda TCR cars. Well, it's all Hyundais and one Honda. Marcelo Reales will represent the Japanese brand. Of course, we also have the Audi, and we have the other Hyundai, of course, the Veloster, the Elantra, and as you can see, front-wheel drive cars are mandatory for this category, and 1.75 to 2-liter turbocharged engines, 4 or 5 door production vehicles. If you go and look, for example, at the first season of TCR International, way back in 2015, the Audi TT Cup was allowed to participate, despite being only 2 doors, because they were trying to make up the numbers, and despite the car being exactly the same as the Audi RS3 TCR car, but the Audi has got 5 doors, so it was allowed, and the Audi not. But Honda, of course, is beautiful. I wish the road-going version also had the rear wing, so I would buy it, if I had the money, which I don't have. But anyways, time to go racing, and this qualifying session will be so important, because just as we've seen earlier with the Formula V, the times are going to be very, 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 very similar to each other. And look at that, we have a Veloster here. Oh no, this is a Elantra. Sorry, I thought it was a Veloster, but it is an Elantra. Yes, my mistake. The Elantra is basically the car of choice. A lot more of those seen around iRacing than the Veloster. Some Hondas and some Audis, which are only raced mostly because it was the first one that came out a couple of years before the other ones. So if you have that, you keep that, like me, for example.
Yeah, I mean, Hyundai have had the i30N TCR, the Veloster N TCR, and the Elantra N TCR. All 3 cars are actually in action this past weekend at rounds 5 and 6 of the 2023 TCR UK Touring Car Championship in Cheshire. Of course, the FK7 still used in TCR competition, but now the FL5 has made its debut, being used by the likes of Chris Smiley, the current reigning defending TCR UK champion, and of course also the current reigning defending TCR Italia champion from the Netherlands, Niels Langeveld. Scott Stumpton actually uses, he's one of the 2 drivers, teammate to Chris Smiley in Restart Racing, that actually uses the FK7 derivative of the Honda Civic Type R TCR. And Gael Valero, no surprise, was the fastest in the free practice session. Caio Gaspar hot on his heels by 47 thousandths as the timer has already started. So the drivers making their way out onto this circuit here, the Tsukuba 2000 full circuit. And also for those wondering, well, how come there were cars that could use a 1.75 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine? Well, if anyone might remember, the Italian motorsport company known as Romeo Ferraris, I know you will know about this one as well, Marco, led by ex-TCR racer, ex-racer herself, Michela Ceruti, and they ran with the Giulietta, which then went into the Giulia TCR car, which actually ended up being the Romeo Ferraris Giulia ETCR, because ETCR ran for a couple of seasons, and that was the full electric TCR Championship, which is no longer being used. But that's a nice little bit of Italian motorsport trivia for you there, isn't it, Marco?
Yeah, I think that is the only TCR car that races in IMSA that we don't have in iRacing, because of course iRacing tends to scan the cars that take part in the IMSA Championship, for TCR especially, and for GT4 as well, but of course these are the more popular ones. TCR, I think the World Tour was in Vallelunga last weekend, if I'm not mistaken, or certainly the Italian TCR. We are Italians now, so there is a debate between the Italian Touring Car Championship and the Coppa Italia TCR over who gets the right to display the TCR brand, not because there are like 10 cars combined in both championships, but we still have to argue over something. So one of them can't be called legally TCR, even though they use TCR cars. So yeah, and ETCR was of course support category for the Euro NASCAR until last year, but this year no, and Euro NASCAR is coming. Vallelunga, if any of you watching wants to come, 8th and 9th of July, I'm going to be there of course, and it's going to be a fantastic show like every year. But now qualifying, of course, track position crucial, not only in the race, Alex, in qualifying. There is not a lot of space for these drivers to let their cars breathe and get a qualifying lap without any traffic. So it's important to get your lap done earlier and manage your track position because it's going to be very, very important. Gael Valero has no one in front of him right now.
And straight away into a sub 60-second lap time. Whereas the Frenchman from the Apex Racing team, 59.990. Yes, Marco, you were spot on that the TCR World Tour was part of the TCR Italian Festival at the Autodromo Piero Taruffi Vallelunga, which is the full circuit name. The thing is, I always, if I can, I will pronounce the name as best as I can when it comes to circuits not in the United Kingdom. That's just basically force of habit. Fabio Zampolini, however, has got one better, 59.771. Now we're on board with the 738 Honda Civic FK7 Type R of Marcelo Reales, who is currently P3 at the moment. Best effort from him so far, 1 minute 169, and now it's changed again. Gael Valero, the flying Frenchman, has just put in a 59.510. Every single lap he is putting on this circuit here at the moment, Marco, is just such a joy to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was not surprised to see his name on the entry list when there is TCR action. He's usually going to be there no matter what. A bit surprising we don't have Corentin Guinness, of course, another driver that really thrives in the TCR category. We saw a car parked there, leaving space very respectfully for Valero. Kulavi second, only 0.043 behind the Frenchman for Apex Racing Team. It's an incredibly close qualifying session so far, as we see Nico Godoy getting out of the pits.
That would have been him actually giving space to Valero, so he was the one that actually returned to garage. And Valero, again, he's just gone better by nearly 2/10. He's gone better by nearly 2/10 of a second. 59.319 is Nico Godoy's going to return to garage with the damage to the right-hand side of that Elantra NTCR. So Valero is just finding time every single lap. This is his 4th lap of qualifying so far. He's just put in a 16.5 in sector 2. He's improving again. He's improving again. And the pace that Valero is showing. So you see the first couple of sectors, he's gone purple again. Okay, a bit of a not disinterested, but a disappointing 3rd sector. But his pace has just been absolutely prolific, and he's gone faster again by nearly a 10th. 59.227. Is anyone going to stop this Frenchman from securing pole position, which nets you a cool $25 US?
Yeah, he did pole position, as you were correctly saying, by not improving in the 3rd and 4th sectors. Despite that, he was able to get a fantastic lap, and let's see the response from Gaston Kulavi, Jackson Hesengi, Fabio Zamperlini. So Reales also is improving in all the first 3 sectors. Doesn't improve in the final one, should be a better lap anyway. There it is, up into 4th position. Zamperini doesn't improve, and Kulavi, crucially, doesn't improve, as we are basically at the halfway mark. Now Valero, the first 2 sectors bad, is improving in the 3rd sector. Let's see, in the 4th and final sector, he's doing basically a reverse lap from what he just did earlier. Yes, another purple sector, but it's not enough by nothing.
Yes, by absolutely nothing. It is such a joy to watch Valero in action, and every time he jumps on to a race session here at AMX, you know for a fact that he is going to be the one to beat. If we had Corentin Guignez on this session, I'm sure that we would have had a straight out dogfight. Those two have got more than previous. It is AMX Global Folklore, the amount of times that we have seen those two battling tooth and nail. Kaya Gaspar is improving. He's just put in his personal best for sectors 2 and 3. As here comes, well, one of the cars out of the final corner. Didn't really catch which one that was. I think that might, well, that's the 22. That is Diego Villarreal, he's just on his outlap at that time. Nico Godoy in the number 8 has just improved in the first and second sectors. Marcelo Reales has just set a personal best in sector number 2. And on screen, that is Caio Gaspar that we got, whose best effort is a 59.434. And you see between the top 6 drivers out of 8 is half a second. Oh, come on, boys, stop bunching up. Come on. Gaston Coolharvey with a Peppa Pig livery. Get your skates on, mate. Now he's going to just gently saunters into pit lane as if nothing's happened.
It looked like a scene out of F1 qualifying, which I find always, extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully nothing happens, but I always have the fear that one day something's gonna happen. And Valero on the start-finish line, 59 flat.
Where on earth? I have no words, Marco. I seriously have no word of a lie, no words to describe what Valero has just done. He's made mincemeat out of everybody. The top 6 now covered by just over 7/10 of a second. We've got just over 5.5 minutes to go in qualifying. It's now who's going to pick up the scraps on the dinner table. You know, who's going to get second in this qualifying session? Villarreal's improved in the opening 3 sectors. So Diego comes out of the final corner, the number 22. Runs a little bit wide. He manages to catch the tank slapper. And that was a personal best. I think we might have just had I'm not too sure if we might have just had a change. Fabio Zampolini's gone P2. Well, Harvey's coming out of the final corner in the number 4 car. Is that going to be an improvement for him? Well, Harvey, no, that wasn't. That was more of an outlap, really, to be honest with you. But I'm really looking forward to seeing if Marcelo Reales can get himself a bit further up the order in terms of qualifying, because the higher up you are, even though it's a reverse grid, it still means that you get a good chunk of prize money for all that effort you put in. So he's about to cross the line very shortly. Marcelo Reales, no improvement there. That was a 59.994. He's done a 59.722 in the Honda. But we have seen that this car doesn't always have the best pace in comparison with the Elantra. So we're about to see Fabio Zampolini cross the line very shortly, but it won't be an improvement from him. And the thing is, we've seen it before here on AMX Global, that the Honda hasn't always been the quickest car in qualifying, but in the race it's something completely different. It seems to become like a bit of an uncaged animal.
Yeah, this is also the beauty of having different cars, of course. In the service, I always, looking at the officials, and also, of course, here in AMX, lots and lots of Elantras, and I prefer when the grid is a bit more varied. But of course, the drivers will pick whatever they want, and certainly different cars have different features that make them faster or slower depending on the track and the situation. As you might have noticed, people at home, these TCR cars work a lot like the F3 car on iRacing, meaning that the more you drive it during a quali session, the faster it gets. See where the drivers are basically doing lap after lap after lap. The only driver not on the track right now is Gael Valero, who, with his 59 flat, basically has decided it was a good time to replace Diego Villarreal in the hospitality, whilst Diego is now busy on the racetrack. He is enjoying the nice drinks and food and beverages before the end of qualifying. I think it's pretty safe for a pole position, but let's see.
Yeah, we're on board with Jackson Resenje in the number 1 Hyundai Elantra NTCR as it makes its way down the back stretch in towards the 12th and final corner here at Tsukuba. Swings the car wide, tries to turn it in through onto the apex, use a little bit of curbing. Up from 4th gear is now shift up into 5th, very short, well he's into the next right-hander. And it is so close, I mean, Resenje's just under 3/10 off of 4th position, occupied by Caio Gaspar, who's just 8/1000 slower than Gaston Kulhavi. And Kulhavi rounds out the top 3. There's Marcelo Reales in the number 738. Best lap time so far, 59.721 for the Honda Civic. He's right behind Jackson Resenje. Zampolini puts in a 59.407. Just under a tenth slower than his fastest time in this qualifying session as we head into the final 2 minutes. So at the moment it is Valero on provisional pole, who will start from 8th, so that'll be the back row. On the outside of row 4, 59 flat. 59.323 for Fabio Zampolini. Kulhavi, 59.426. Gaspar, 59.437. 59.714 from Resenje, who's just been pipped by Reales by 31,000. So the Honda now up into P5. Good lap there from the Argentinian Marcelo Reales in a 59.683. But Real comes out of the final corner and he puts in a 59.722 within 7/1000ths of Jackson Resenje. So folks, we've got a race on our hands because the top 7 drivers have broken the 59 point. They've gone less than a 59.750 around this circuit. Nico Godoy's about 7 and a bit tenths away from this, but you know what, for the entirety of the 8 strong field to be covered by 1.45 seconds as we head into the last 45 here in qualifying, it's down to this man here. Can Zampolini try and close over 0.3 of a second in the next 30 seconds? He might have one more lap to do that as he's going to make his way down the back stretch around this particular circuit here at Tsukuba. The full variation, and it's going to be a run to the final corner. He's probably going to cross it with seconds to spare as we head towards the final 10 seconds now across the line. Zampolini just egging the car on. 59.544. That's not going to be enough as the session is about to come to its conclusion. And that, as they say, is that Gael Valero makes good his intentions. He's going to start from the back end of the grid. So he took pole position. Let's see if we can bring up the results. So Valero with a 59 dead around this circuit here at Tsukuba. 0.322 ahead of Fabio Zampolini. Gaston Kulhavi in 3rd. Caio Gaspar rounds out the top 4. They'll be starting from 8th, 7th, 6th and 5th. Marcelo Reales will start 4th, having placed 5th. Jackson Resenje, Diego Villarreal and Nico Godoy. Godoy again will start from pole position in the reverse grid. And once again with TCR's Marco, front wheel drive, it is supposedly meant to be a standing start, but it looks like, I'm not too sure. Oh, we're getting a rolling start here. This is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%, but given that these are the IMSA versions of the cars, where they do only rolling starts, as you know, I think it's better to have a rolling start, unfortunately. I know. So, but, it's a very short pace lap here around Tsukuba, as you can see the starting grid. And, Gael Valero was so fast, of course, but he has to make overtakes, so it's not going to be easy for him. He did try to do that, unwittingly, a few weeks ago. If you remember, he did like a self-imposed quali ban at Lime Rock with the MX-5. So he started last, and then he crashed in the second corner. So, not easy.
Yeah. We're just waiting for Valero to pop up onto the grid. And there he does. There is the iRacing Porsche safety car, ready to lead our drivers down towards the final corner here at Tsukuba. It's going to be an interesting one because we've got Nico Godoy and Diego Villarreal on the front row. This, folks, is where AMX 5 gets ready to rev up into high gear here at Tsukuba. So let's see what happens, as when the red lights go out, we will be racing here at Tsukuba as the TCR field makes its way out of the final corner. They gather speed. Here we go. Lights are green. We're off on racing. And a good start by Godoy that leads the field. Oh no, Reales is around and into the side. Into the side of Villarreal he goes. And good judgment there by Gaio Valero, just waiting and holding back, seeing what happens in front as Reales up the inside of Gaspar. Gives Gaspar a touch, and Gaspar is round. Back it off into the gravel. And Resenje has gotten into the lead. Godoy in second. Reales, Kulharvi, Zampolini, Valero down in sixth. Villarreal and Gaspar in seventh and eighth respectively. As all that was a bit sideways there, but a snap-on oversteer from the back end of Diego Villarreal as everyone tries to gather pace. A little bit of damage on some of the cars that are flashing the headlights from Reales, probably saying to Godoy, "Oi, sunshine, you nerfed me earlier." He probably didn't, or he's just saying, "Get out of my chuffing way right now." We're going to come around the final corner. Godoy runs a little bit wide. Reales up the inside. Is there going to be a hip check? There is slightly, but Reales has got the jump on Godoy as they head into turn one once again. Godoy round the outside. Oh, Reales gets a little bit of a touch from behind, courtesy of Kulharvi. Valero just neatly looking to get through, was not trying to force any bad opportunity round the outside, around the inside of Zampolini. Is going to try and go for the crisscross. A little bit of a bump and run maybe, not quite. As Resenje has a lead, it's nearly 9/10 of a second. 15 laps around this circuit, and touring car racing around this tight, technical Japanese circuit is always one to really put the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons. And at the moment, Gaio Valero has currently got over $1,300 US. Look at the front end of Zampolini's Elantra. That has seen better days as he's looking up the inside of Kulharvi. And there goes Valero. Hard on the brakes goes the 33. Takes the inside line. Godoy runs a little bit wide. Resenje has got a lead. Kulharvi's got the fastest lap of the race, 1:7:32. Now Gaspar, who must be absolutely brimming with rage right now as we head on to lap number 3. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:2:02 for the number 3 from Brazil. Resenje isn't quite getting away. Kulharvi going to put the frighteners here on Reales in that Honda, the number 738, still holding on to second position as they head through into the next right-hander. Late on the brakes, it's going to be down to first gear, turn the car in, 65 kph, put the power down, out of the corner, up to second, up to third, up to fourth gear. With a full head of steam, these front-wheel drive cars will now sweep their way through the final corner here at Tsukuba. Resenje's lead is being decimated. It now is about half a second as we come across the line to start lap number 4 out of 15. Reales fastest lap of the race, 1:013, but Valero comes in with a 59.701. That's only 7/10 off of his qualifying lap time, and he is still stuck behind the number 32 Hyundai Elantra NTCR of Fabio Zampolini. Nearly ends up into the back end of the 32 as they go through in the tight hairpin on the infield part of the circuit. Valero just waiting and biding his time. You and I both know that when this Frenchman has his eye on the prize, there is no stopping him.
Exactly, and of course Fabio, a tough driver to pass. We've seen also Reales in the first lap barging his way through a couple of opponents, and now sitting on pure pace in second position, closing the gap, as you were saying, on Jackson Resenje. But you can see not a lot of places where you can make an overtake around here, so Gael will have to become creative if he wants to get past Fabulous Fabio, which is not easy. Here we go down the inside, a big dive. Is it going to be enough? I think he needs to use a little bit of elbow there. He now needs to position himself on the inside. Fabio doesn't seem like he wants to let up on the gas pedal. This is so close, and he has the inside, the Brazilian, another hip check. And around the outside goes Valero. Now he will have the inside himself, and he gets the position. Beautiful stuff.
That was textbook Valero right there and then. He was keeping it side by side. You can see the smile on Fabio Zampolini's face. He always loves a bit of a battle, does Fabio. And that just goes to show how competitive these drivers are. And a lot of the... Valero's one of the top talents at Apex Racing Team. You and I both know of him, or you know him a lot better than I do. I just commentated on him quite a bit. But he is one of the, when you see who you've got, like Jamie Fluke, Johan Harth, Kevin Ellis Jr. at that team, and Valero is very, very much part and parcel of that squad. But now we are on board on the picture-in-picture. There's Kaya Gaspar, and he's got round the outside. Oh, he's done an M&M around the outside of Diego Villarreal. Inspired job there by the number 3. He's got a 2.7 second gap as Colharvey has finally got past Reales, who has got Gaio Valero really closing in. The Honda being attacked at all sides as Valero puts it around the outside. I think Valero just outbraked himself there. He did a little bit, but he's managed to gather it back up. Now down the back straightaway. Is Valero going to get the side draft? He's positioning the car towards the inside line into the next right-hander, and he's going to get the move. Valero now up into P3. He's now got to find 1.3 seconds over these next couple of laps. Now, bearing in mind, Valero's fastest lap was a 59.7. Colharvey's is a 59.9. So I know where I'm placing my sportsman's bet right now here, Marco, is the fact that Valero, probably within the next 3 laps, will be up close and personal with Gaston Colharvey for P2.
Absolutely. Rule number 1 now for Valero is to push, get away from Reales, because we saw Marcelo be very aggressive on the dive bombs, especially in the first lap, and he don't want to leave the door open. Zamperlini will try to get the job done as well, despite the front end of his car being, as you were saying, a little bit looking not like it's just coming out of the dealership. Look how close they are on the backstretch here at Tsukuba. Absolutely amazing. I am so upset at iRacing because they scanned this racetrack almost 10 years ago, and they waited so long to release it, basically in late 2019. It's so much fun with almost every kind of car, as Valero 59.196 is getting closer and closer and closer. And of course, Kulavi has basically closed the gap himself to Kasenji, so now the top 3 are basically line astern, all 3 of them. So close, a little bit of a gap with Marcelo Reales and Fabio Zamperini ready to pounce in case anything happens, as we are at the halfway mark of the race.
Yeah, Valero was nearly 0.2 of a second as Colharvey goes into the side of the Resende. That was more than just a hit check there. I'm sorry, Gaston Colharvey, that move was not quite on. And if there was a protest, I know if there was a protest system in place, Resende would be on that quicker than flies on muck. I can guarantee you that much. So now that's changed the dynamic of the race, because Valero realises, hang on a second, that's one less person I need to actually physically get past in order to take the race lead. And now he is right with Gaston Colharvey. Just wait. This is what Valero does at his very, very best. Colharvey knows that the pressure cooker is not on his side, because they say if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, as they used to say in the old RoboCop film back in the late 1980s. But Valero is edging closer. He's looking towards the outside, trying to get the crisscross on Colharvey. At this particular moment, they're going to come down this very, very long backstretch. Now, the momentum, the slipstream is coming into the favour of Valero. Gap less than a 10.5 as they go into the final turn. Valero is less than a car length behind. Lap 9 now completed. 6 to go, including this one. Valero to the outside into turn 1. He's showing his nose to Colharvey as if to say, better watch it, son, because I'm right behind you. You make a mistake, I will be there and past you quicker than you can blink. That's exactly what Valero does. He puts the pressure on and waits for the person in front to make an unforced error. Gaston Colharvey, we've seen him not make unforced errors through any of his own making, but sometimes through someone else's fault. but Valero is keeping things very, very calm. He is just waiting down this back stretch again. And now we've got Zampolini alongside Reales for P3. Valero again shows his nose to Kulhavi. Zampolini's got through on the entrance into the final corner. Resenje is not too far behind, and Valero's so far off the track. That was a big time, way, way wide. There was a little bit of a hip check between Zampolini and Reales. The slightest of touches, more than likely a racing incident. But Resenje is through and has now got fourth. Reales. I'm sorry, that's a bit naughty. Bump drafting, and he's going to... No. Resenje is a very, very lucky man indeed. But the back end of that number one Canan Esports Brazil vehicle is a little bit scuffed up. The black paint has been shown to be scuffed away with the white primer behind it. And again, Reales, you don't need to do that kind of work, though, I'm afraid. But Valero is within. He's going to keep it around the outside. Is he going to try and just slide in behind Kulhavi? That's exactly what he's needed to do. Not too wide at this particular occasion as we go on to lap 12 of 15. 4 to go, including this one. Into turn 1 again. Incredible composure by these two drivers, but the battle for fourth! Oh, Reales into the barriers of Resenje around! And Villarreal gets... Oh, Villarreal's had a moment of his own! Oh my goodness me, chaos and pandemonium at the back end of the field, and that steering on Jackson Resenje's car is not that great at all, and I'm... Oh, this is not...
That's instant to injury.
That is, you can see that Marcelo Reales' car is not working well because the right rear is absolutely knackered and he's gone returned to garage. Not quite at all surprised about that one, but the battle for the lead is still continuing. Kulhavi keeping that Elantra N TCR, the Peppa Pig liveried one, as wide as humanly possible, but Valero again trying to put the frighteners on him by going round the outside of turn 1. They're nearly level. Front axle to front axle. Now into the next complex. Valero's going to have the run. Is he going to get through? He's about half a car length in front. This is absolutely crazy, but Valero is through. Valero takes the lead with just over 2.5 laps to go. Absolute craziness behind. But the battle between Valero and Kulhavi, I must admit, Marco, has been absolutely top dollar.
And props to Gaston, he fought valiantly and it was not an easy task, and only with basically a couple of laps left was Gael Valero able to find a breakthrough, and so now we will have to ride this final couple of laps mistake-free in the lead. Kulhavi second. We have also Jackson Resenje, unfortunately, having to go through the pit lane for repairs. That was a massive crash there at the back, which we are going to see once again on the replay. This crash that happened basically coming out of turn 1. You can see Resenje in the black car, Reales in the white car.
Yeah,
and again, Reales very aggressive. They touch.
Yeah, and then this.
And then this.
Yeah. I'll be completely honest with you, that was uncalled for. I'm not one to show my opinion, but I think it was just unfortunate for Jackson Resenje. Marcelo Reales, I think, was completely at fault for that. If I was in race control, I would have instantly gone, well, that person's DQ'd, and he's knackered the right rear on the car, and then he's again a secondary impact was completely unnecessary. I can understand that they're filled with adrenaline, but one thing you do not do is have that kind of aspect. But we're going to sweep that under the carpet. I've said my piece about it, but Valero is on the final lap of the race. He's also put in the fastest lap. So, folks, Gael Valero qualified on pole position, went to the back of the grid, and I think we saw about 6 or 7 laps between him and Gaston Kulhavi. The best example of how to race. Kulhavi kept Valero at bay for so long, but Valero was just waiting. just waiting for that opportune time. We'll stick with the leader at the moment as he comes down the backstretch for the final time on lap number 15. And he's going to win this at a comfortable margin of 1.7 seconds. The Flying Frenchman is back to winning ways. Pole position, fastest lap, and now the victory here at Tsukuba. Gael Valero once again showing why he has been one of the top drivers in AMX Global from our inception. Well done to Gaston Coulharvey, taking a well-deserved second position. Fabio Zampolini finishing in third ahead of Caio Gaspar. Diego Villarreal takes fifth ahead of Nico Godoy. We are just waiting for a couple of other people to come through. There's Jackson Asenje. Looks like Marcelo Real has decided to go into the pits. But that is what has been... I mean, I really can't say... I knew that Formula V was going to be an absolute brilliant race, which it was. That was a great race in its own right, but there were a couple of moments that sort of, I think, put a little bit of a dampener on it, Marco, in some respects, but it was still spicy, wasn't it?
It was such a spicy meatball, as somebody brilliantly put it in our AMX YouTube chat. I mean, we've seen everything, and of course, sometimes with the touring cars especially, you get a little bit of excessive, aggression, so to put it. In the end, what a fantastic race from Valero and Coulhavi, deservedly on the podium. Zamperlini, great recovery drive despite the damage in the beginning, and lots of damage for the drivers in the back. Certainly some regrets how this race could have ended, especially for Jackson Asenjo, who had a very, very unlucky race. But so that's the way it goes sometimes, and it was certainly an exciting day of race as we predicted, and now we are ready to basically prepare ourselves for the next one.
Yeah, that is it for the action on race day 38. Race day 39 takes place tomorrow. What have we got coming up? Well, we go to the Orient once again. We go to Okayama International Circuit for AMX 0 race 34, and the Kia Optima, one of my favourite cars on the iRacing server, makes a welcome return. Then we have AMX 5 race number 26, which will be GT4s at the iconic Styrian countryside at the Red Bull Ring. Don't forget, hit us up on socials. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch, and you can also see all the relevant links. You can head to our official website at amxrace.com. That's it from me and Marco for you all watching tonight. Thank you very, very, very much for being so passionate and interactive in the chat. Big thank you, as always, to Automatics and Ben Q. And we here at AMX Global are powered by Upbit. Until next time, we'll see you in just under 24 hours for Race Day 39 for Beta Season 2. Until next time, goodbye for now.